The 40 Lessons Podcast is a Shining Starlight Entertainment production.
Time for another week of life, love, and everything in between on the 40 Lesson Podcast. Welcome to another week of the 40 Lesson Podcast, where we talking about life, love, and everything in between. It's your boy Dumisani.
It's your girl Tori Strickland.
I'm telling y'all, another week Tori is here. I mean, she's making a habit of this.
I know.
What is going on with that?
Great habits, right?
Listen.
Practice is. I am hoping to become as great as you.
Oh Lord, we have entered the BS section of the podcast, y'all.
Wow.
Nothing is. Listen, one thing I know. One thing that King T'Challa himself has. One thing that this young gentleman from Wakanda has figured out is that I am nothing without the queens around me. So, I have black girl magic all around 40 Lesson Podcast. Do not get it confused. If it was me, it would just be a dark room and my iPhone on selfie. I'm just going to be honest with you. This
Propped
is
up by.
Right. I'll be talking to y'all on Facebook Live, y'all be mad at me. I'm telling you.
Facebook Live serves a purpose, though.
It does. Yeah. It does. I don't know what purpose all the time, but it's serving. It's serving something. But no. I am real happy to have the team that I have here working on 40 Lesson Podcast. This is dope. Really, this is really dope to see things come to life. To be able to cross platform with other creators really works for me. You know what I'm saying? So what we got going on today?
What do we have going on today? So there are several interesting things floating around.
Is it This Is America time?
It is This Is America.
I love This Is America. What are we doing? What is going on in This America today?
So, an interesting and surprisingly divisive topic.
What's so divisive about it?
Tamron Hall.
That little fine thing that used to be on NBC?
Isn't she gorgeous?
Oh my God, pretty.
Oh my goodness.
I heard
girl crush.
She got a baby daddy.
She apparently does.
And I also heard she's 48.
She is. And preggers.
And pregno. Wow.
What was it, 8 months along, I think?
8 months.
I think it was 8 months.
So the baby be here next week.
I mean, in certain kinds of math, yeah. In certain math, yeah.
What was the girl on Housewives who had her baby? What was that? Phaedra's math? Phaedra had some different type of math going on with her miracle baby. Amen. I'm glad the baby here is safe. Amen. But everybody counting was like, no, bro. No. Them numbers don't. That's not how that works. That's not how any of that works. Even God texted her and was like, that is not what I designed. That is not what I designed. Not correct. So, Tamron Hall is having a baby at 48.
She is having a baby at 48.
I'm a man, so I'm going to be quiet. Tell me about that.
What do you mean you're going to be quiet? Is that even possible?
48.
What? So? Presumably.
Seems a little... Just for me. What? Just for me.
A little what?
I don't know.
Because men pop one up until like 70, 80 years old.
And I think they selfish.
I'm just saying. Well,
I don't think that's...
I don't think kids are selfish in general?
I don't know. I've never thought about it. With my 4 children, as giving as I am with them, I don't know how selfish. If having kids is intended to be selfish, let me tell all y'all right now, stop having kids, because you cannot be selfish and be a parent.
Well, many people though, not all, are like, oh yeah, I had kids, I took care of them. So when I get old, my thought is my kids are going to be here to take care of me. I got that covered. So their long-term care plan is covered. It's their kids.
It's their children.
Yes.
I wouldn't bet on them one of mine to take care of me. Let me tell you. Now I'm going to say this. I've got 4. 21, 17, 13, and 8. I got a shot. And I mean, this is a slim. This is whatever a slim shot is called in the gambling world. That's what this is. My baby girl, she's 17. She might take care of her daddy. The other 3, oh Lord, no. Ain't gonna happen. I'll be in somebody's bathroom or something, sitting in the tub like like the girl on Tyler Perry movie when she was mad at him and she just set him in the tub for a while
and watched him drown.
Just watched him drown. And she was sitting there eating. She was just sitting there eating. I'm like, you gonna eat a sandwich? Why you doing this?
Why you like
what in the world? And she like, what? You looking stupid. I was like, but anyway, Tamron Hall is having a baby at 48 clip. How did we get on all this? I told people I won't be running on tangents on this show, but I mean, I'm sorry. That was all that was within the topic. I guess, So
she is having a baby. She's 48.
That's cool.
She's pregnant. Nobody knew though. That was the thing. Like nobody knew she was pregnant. Nobody knew she was married, let alone to a white man, and nobody knew that she's gonna have this show coming up.
I'm happy for her. And I'm noticing a lot of women are doing the secret pregnant until we clear and make sure everything is good now, because the emotional roller coaster involved with that, I'm sure, is detrimental.
Listen.
So I'm happy for I still got homegirls who got dreams of being married and having kids. So listen, this is all signs. What, Janet was 50?
Yep.
And it's been somebody else to drop one at 50. I mean, so it's the medicine has changed. The doctors have become very innovative. The science is different. Mm-hmm. They can do some phenomenal things. And if you want to have a baby and can do it, knock yourself out.
I mean, as long as you're menstruating, provided you have, the eggs, I mean, you can do it.
Well, I think when people get older, they get worried about a few things like, special need kids and things of that nature. They get worried about some of the things that can come up when what their trends have said older women have difficulty with.
And the science is evolving in this world. So there was a cutoff there. I wish I could remember the article I was reading, but they were talking about how typically they would say if you were over the age of 35, you were considered to be an at-risk mom. Mm-hmm. But there has been some science to suggest that age is like more advanced.
42-ish now.
I think pushing closer to 45.
Yeah. So, and it's showing because we're seeing later and later pregnancies especially out of our celebrities. I mean, Halle had one again, didn't she? Yep. And she had that baby. She didn't use a surrogate, right?
I don't think so.
Wow, that's dope. So, I mean, look, man, hey, get it how you live. That's how I say it. Because long as I ain't got to babysit, long as you ain't bringing it by here to hang out, I'm good. I'm happy for Tamron Hall. She made a monster move a few years ago on NBC. Mm-hmm. They was trying to play her on some coins, and she said the devil is a lie. Listen, you ain't playing me.
I love it.
I'm walking. You can have it all. I'm gonna be okay.
It's nothing like letting go.
And she let go and went and secured a whole different type of bag.
The one that was meant for her.
And she got that bag secured. Mm-hmm. And now that the baby is coming and had a wedding, if he know like I know, it's cheaper to keep her. So you might want to go ahead and buckle in for the loan.
Though cheaper to
keep her? It is sometimes cheaper to keep her. And if y'all have some struggles, call 40 Lessons Life Coach. We can get y'all together in the room.
Emotionally, is it cheaper to keep her?
Emotionally, that's a good...
Because that's really all that matters. Money can be earned.
Man, I swear, you always give me some good segues. Because guess what we talking about today? 40 Lessons, a coach for life. For life coaching services, contact Dumisani Solwazi at thereal40lessons@gmail.com. That's thereal40lessons@gmail.com. We talking about acceptance, right? Mm-hmm. And, for those who don't know, just joining us this week, we're in the middle of a series called Adulting 101. And last week, if you missed it, go back and listen to last week's episode. Tori gave some good information. We had some good information. Some petty was put up in the mix as well. You don't want to miss the petty. You got to go hear what the petty was.
The petty.
I'm never. But anyway, we talked about when it all falls apart last week. And we're going to continue the series this week with acceptance. Mm-hmm. And, you talked a lot last week.
I did. So that means this week you're going to be sharing. Sharing is caring, after all.
Listen, one of the things I am is a sharer. Mm-hmm. I wrote 40 chapters on sharing, nothing but my soul. I mean, I had homeboys calling me who ain't never prayed before. Was like, hey, man, you want to just pray for a minute, brother? I'm like, I'm good, man. I'm good. My mom told me don't take prayer from everybody. But anyway, but no. And I'll give you an example of where this really hit home for me, where this word acceptance hit home for me. It's nothing like sitting in marriage counseling, being on your fifth counselor, trying the best you can to save your marriage. And you in like the fifth or sixth session with the counselor. And he feels that he's getting something out of me. He's like, okay, well, I kind of know where he at. Hey, you not, talking to the at then wife, you're not really talking to me. And he was like, let me ask a question, because he's trying to find where the temperature is. He said, do you desire your husband? And to hear her say no, with no stutter, no pause, it almost as if, you know how the doctor hits your knee with that little thing and your knee pop up? It was like reflex. It was like, what took you so long to ask me the question? And to hear those words was probably the most devastating way to ever be rejected I can remember in my 41 years of life. And it's crazy because I remember the scene so vividly, and I even write about it in the book because it just stood out to me just that. The pastor sat up in his seat, he closed his book, he rested it on his lap, and he looked at me and was like, well, I have a lot of tools I can give y'all to make marriage work. He said, but I can't give her desire. If a woman don't have a desire to be with you, that's that. And that was the real first time I had to really accept something I wasn't ready to accept at that moment. And it was devastating. I mean, it was devastating to the point to where I know I was in solitude to myself over those next couple months. Most of it was spent writing, just trying to, get this out get these emotions onto pages. A lot of it was like, man, because you start to have that, when you start to really fall into the place of where this is what your life is going to be, or this is where you are, you start trying to figure out, well, what am I going to do now? And you start having those thoughts of, how am I going to explain this to people? Here it go again. You start having all those thoughts, and you start having all those spaces. Can you remember a time that was that rough to you, where you had to soak up the water? And that water was bitter and nasty. Is that word? Because that word acceptance seems so polite.
Oh, doesn't it though?
It is. It's so pretty. It is a Decepticon. Yes, that's what it is. Yes, it is not one of the Autobots. I don't care what nobody say. Oh, my Transformer people out there, what's happening? You know what I'm saying? It is not one of the Autobots. It is a Decepticon. The word seems harmless, but it is so much required of that word.
Yes.
Talk about what that word has been, and let's pick up where we left off when, things kind of, fell apart, for you when you was held up on the pedestal. You were, this angelic, they wanted you to be, right? You know what I'm saying?
That felt like hate.
I'm just, no. That's what we described it as, right? So when you accepted that, that's leaving. That's done. I got to go find Tori again. How does that work?
I don't know that I ever lost Tori. Not in this particular instance. Okay. I was careful not to lose Tori. But I think the acceptance part, what I had to accept, because I'm ego driven like many people are, and my ego has many faces like many of our egos. I had to accept that somebody actually didn't want me.
Ooh, that's heavy right there.
I had to accept that because in my life, I had cultivated a persona, right? This sort of vixenish kind of persona where it was, she's smart, she's fun, she's vivacious, and she's this sort of vixen, and so to hear someone say to me, yeah, not really interested, I'm not gonna do it.
Wow. Yeah.
At first I didn't believe them, and so it's sort of like I cannot possibly conceptualize a time or a place where a person could not want me, but that's what ego does, right? Because
you're sitting there thinking like, well, what else you gonna do?
How could you possibly not?
I'm sitting there So that's a woman's mindset, right? Imagine a man that pays the bill. I'm like, wait a minute.
It's not about any of that.
But that ain't the point. I'm hurting right now.
Of course.
So I'm trying to justify.
And the ego is talking to you.
And my ego is mad because now I'm thinking, if you don't want me, then who the hell do you want?
Mm-hmm. Or have.
Or who else in the picture that then got your mind off me? Because I need to meet him because clearly he is the second coming of the Lord. If he outed me, King T'Challa, I don't know how this is even possible.
That's funny.
I'm just saying.
It's the idea of really, so acceptance is quite a bit of it is peeling apart some layers and assassinating your ego.
Ooh.
Which
I like that. Assassinating your ego.
Yes.
Talk about that process of how do we kill egos? Because I had to kill an ego. I had to, and I play. You know I play, but anybody who really known me for some years would tell you that that dude used to be pretty conceited. The cat you deal with now is just a fun, like to have a good time and crack jokes. But I used to be on another level. Like I really thought I was God's gift to women at some point. You know, you couldn't tell me I wasn't. I'm like, girl, if I looked at you, consider yourself blessed. I mean, you know, it's like I gave you attention.
That's funny.
You should thank somebody. You know what I mean? So
be blessed.
Right. You know, no, I ain't even have to say it. Just me looking at
it. Right. Be blessed.
You know what I'm saying? This was better than Pootie Tang. You know what I mean?
That's one face of the ego, though.
Exactly.
So the first step is understanding what ego even is in this situation.
Let's give them that.
So for me, it was, because of course we had all heard about ego. If you've done any sort of coursework in college, you probably did some sort of rudimentary psych 101 and you learned about the ego, maybe even in high school.
Sociology, something.
Exactly. And so, the ego, you talk about the ego, you talk about the id, you talk about all of that. But then you start to understand that the ego looks very differently depending upon what we're talking about. It has a lot of faces. So it's the be blessed. But it's also, and I had to learn how to name my primary ego, right? It is when you are feeling most up against the wall or in a corner, or when you are feeling like at your worst, what is the thing that you do in response to that? Wow. And whatever that thing is, and it's usually destructive, that is your ego. And so for me, it was that vindictive, manipulative nature, that viciousness that would come out, and it would come out, jab, and then slide right back. So I had to figure out, what is the name of that? What do I call that? And my therapist and Brene Brown. So Brene Brown writes a lot of books on vulnerability. Helped me to understand I need to identify my ego. What is the face? And then I need to name my ego. And I even assign gender to my ego because I need to know when because she is a she, when she is, I know I sound absolutely nuts and pardon the phrase.
No, you don't.
But I had to assign the gender. And so now I can recognize. So she is actually considered to be sort of my bodyguard / defender. That's sort of the name we gave her.
So the minute she feel like you've been attacked, she show up.
She shows up.
But she shows out when she show up.
She hurts. She comes to hurt.
She ain't coming to just protect. She coming to destroy whatever came up again. And so see, that's interesting because me, I'm different. My ego turns into this fun-loving guy that you see before you can be cold as the winter. And that used to be my Achilles heel because the quest was to not let me get to the winner because if winter's coming, he's done.
He's done.
When, that's just it. No spring or summer came back when I got the winner. When I got the winner, I'm done with you. You know, it's about to be a long trudge for you the rest of the way out. So you might as well go and get your stuff and go on about where you're going because it ain't too much else going to work. I'm not going to want to touch you. I'm going to come in when I want to come in. I'm going to have very little to say to you. It's going to probably be smart and slightly disrespectful sometimes when I say it. And you're going to be looking like I'm going to cut him in his sleep because I don't understand what's going on with him right now. And I had to understand that about myself. And I said, I cannot let anyone get me to that place again in my life. And what I want people to understand.
But no one gets us there.
No one gets, right. Thank you. Because what I wanted to say in that moment was, what we have to understand about those spaces is that we're not being honest with ourselves in those moments and taking accountability into everything that we're going through in those moments. Mm-hmm. And what I want people to be able to unpack about that is that if you're not in a safe place with your partner in a relationship, because we're speaking about a love situation, yes. Right? We could relate this to some other workplace thing. We'll do that at another time. We talking about love. Spring is coming. We talking about love. Clothes about to come off. These boys about to lose their mind. They gonna start seeing shoulders and thighs, and they ain't gonna know what to do. Women gonna be wearing sandals. They gonna be losing their mind in a minute. You know what happens every spring.
Is it 1759?
I'm just telling you, these boys gonna come out like they've been hibernating. I'm telling you.
Confused. Is it 1759?
I don't know why you confused. We ain't confused.
Because I'm sitting here like. It's not 1759. It's 2019.
What they got to do with anything?
Why would we need to go crazy at the showing of a body part?
Because I see the same repeated sundress coming season posts every year for the last 10 years, as if sundresses just came out or something. We know it's coming. We know, but I'm just saying. Back to what we were talking about. We need people to really be honest with themselves and really unpack their feelings. And when you accept some of these things about yourself, you got to be the one to confront them first. Mm-hmm. You can't rely on somebody else to confront these things about you. And one of the best things that I did was have that time to myself. Mm-hmm. That time to myself gave me a time of self-reflection. I tell anybody when they read the 40 Lessons book, you never hear me at no point in time in that reading talk about anyone else other than myself. Because I felt it wasn't anyone else's fault where I was in terms of fatherhood, in terms of manhood, in terms of my faith, in terms of relationships. None of those things were anyone else's fault but my own. And one of the things I want people to grasp about acceptance is that's a key thing to acceptance. You have to understand you have an ownership part in whatever has transpired.
Huge.
But we like to sometimes deflect to other people.
It hurts.
And why is that though? Talk about the hurt.
It's shameful.
Why is that?
We are ashamed.
That's a what are we ashamed of exactly?
We're ashamed of how we feel. So vulnerability is a big thing for me, and so I didn't want to be vulnerable.
Are we ashamed for feeling?
For feeling, we're ashamed of the result of feeling. We're ashamed. Feelings tend to make us. Emotions tend to, which is so interesting because we're in a constant state of some emotion or another.
Exactly. And isn't the whole point of being with someone is to feel?
Well, the whole point of being, of a human being is to be emotional. I mean, we have very few things that distinguish us from animals, and emotions happen to be one of those things, and the ability to reason, but emotions happen to be one of those things, and then build communities in the way that we do, yada yada yada. But I think that when we talk about really taking a look at us being accountable for what happened in our relationships, and then saying, whoa, wait a minute, I have seen this before, over and over. I made the same choice over and over and over again. And it looked a little different, but it was the same choice.
But it's the same choice.
That is a hard thing to look at. I had to do that. I had to say, I picked the same man over and over and over again.
Wow.
And I was like, not that they were bad men, but they were the same men. So I encountered the same thing.
But you also knew where the flaw in the characteristic was that wasn't working, that you kept selecting as well, right?
What's funny is, no. I actually approached it as if this were a whole new, and the person obviously was a different person, but as if the experience was going to be a completely different experience. But the problem was I kept choosing the same man, and I never asked myself why.
Why?
Because I didn't even understand that I was choosing the same man until I had a certain kind of relationship that fell apart in a certain kind of way.
That kind of exposed some things.
Boy, did it. And I had to take a very close look at, what are you doing? You're making
and
these
why
same
are you
choices.
doing it?
Yeah. What's happening? What is the gap that exists? And I tried to do the narcotizing. tried to eat feelings, tried to drink feelings. But then I had to sit with myself, and there are these places, and only people who have been in this situation will understand. There are spaces inside of yourself where it's only you and God.
Absolutely. Oh man, who you telling?
And when you get to those spaces, you haven't visited them in so long. It is literally like lifting a very heavy lid.
It is,
and there is just stuff there,
and it's almost purging.
Yes,
it's crazy, man. When I was going through my divorce, I could remember distinctly sitting in church, and particularly doing praise and worship, and just feeling like being peeled. Like I got you. I'm glad you back. I know you thought you had it figured out. I got this though. Give me a second. We're gonna work this out. Keep coming to me.
Yep.
And then you find yourself searching everything that got to do with God. You trying to not like, I'm not leaving you for a minute, bro. I'm a little distraught. And that's hard to say for a man sometimes, that I'm a little broken and distraught here. I'm gonna need you to hold me up here for a minute.
Absolutely.
But one of the things that I got to tap into was an emotional place and vulnerability in me that I didn't even know existed. Because I had spent so much time being man, or what I thought was man.
Me too.
Because you was being woman.
No.
You was trying to be man?
I was.
With a man?
Yeah.
And you was wanting to be the man?
I would not be vulnerable in the same way that men often avoid vulnerability.
Wow. Yeah. And what's crazy is that eats the hell out of you at some point. And I kept saying to myself, why are you being stubborn, watching good women leave your life because you just won't let them into the place that you say belong to them? What is your problem? You say you love this woman. You say this is your best friend. You saying this is your safe place. Well, then let her be that. And she's looking at you like, clearly he don't know what that means, because I feel like a stranger to him. And she keep asking you what's wrong. You getting pissed because she keep asking you what's wrong. But she can clearly see that this ain't right. And you keep going, you tripping. I'm not tripping. I know what it feels. Women know better than anybody what it feels like to be connected and to be intimate and to be in that space with somebody when they get there. And for men, I think some of us are finally understanding how to do that work and getting better at doing that work. It's a process.
It is.
Don't get me wrong. For guys to get to that place is a work in itself. And that's one of the biggest things I share in this in what I do now is I try to get with guys and try to help them to understand that you can, if you're going to be with a woman, you're going to need this skill set. If you ain't got this skill set, eventually that ain't going to work, because it's going to hit a roadblock at somewhere to where it's going to be an issue.
Don't you think, though, women often contort and conform and bend to fit into these places?
I hear you. But as a man with daughters, I'm tired of women having to bend, contort, and fit into places. I want whole men with whole women. I believe that we can be better as men in those spaces. I think that we can accept the fact that we may have a challenge when it comes to emotional vulnerability. I'm not mad at us having a challenge when it comes to there. What I would have an issue with is if we don't embark on the challenge and try to make some headway in doing some things differently to expose ourselves to a different way of loving to a person that we say we want to spend life with. I think that's something, and people can get into all this life and this, that, and other, but if you're going to marry somebody or you're going to be in a solid partnership with somebody, if you're going to have life ties, money, and all this stuff that we do as adults together, that complicates things.
Absolutely.
I think you need to be in the most open and honest and transparent place with that person you're doing that with, because every little secret that you don't tell, every little, thing that you don't reveal, everything that comes out in the wash later, it gives distrust. It makes somebody feel skeptical of you. It looks like deceit and all those things.
I agree. I just wonder, when we talk about, because we talked about this a bit before, the ideas then around masculinity, traditional masculinity, and
Oh,
what that
Lord.
looks like. Because
Uh-oh.
masculinity is
Uh-oh.
often founded on the principle of being not being terribly vulnerable.
Absolutely.
So if we are going to say, I want whole men who are able to experience emotions in a very open and very honest and safe way, then I think we then have to revisit what our ideas are around traditional masculinity.
You have no argument with me because,
So masculinity then becomes what we wear, it becomes who we are and how we express. Ooh.
Whoa. Y'all see what she tried to do there?
Not try.
We ain't finna talk about that dress again.
Not try.
That tuxedo thing. Listen.
Not try.
I'm with you.
There is no try. Do or do not.
I'm with you.
All my Star Wars fans.
I'm with you. I'm with you
You're
to
not a
about.
Star Wars fan, are
I'm
you?
not. Don't even watch Star Trek. Sorry.
Wow.
What?
Shoot me. I'm sorry. We didn't have cable back in the day. Don't be.
What does that have to do with cable?
I don't know. Listen, not Star Wars or Star Trek. I'm not a big sci-fi guy. Forgive me. Transformers is about as big as it's gonna get for me in the sci-fi industry. Optimus Prime, Bumblebee. That's about all I got. Does that? I'm sorry. Am I uncool now? Have my black card been revoked? Oh, okay. No problem. I'll get it back. So anyway.
I don't even know what to say.
Anyway. I have much other levels of consciousness that will be much more productive to society than me knowing about Star Wars.
I'm sorry.
Or
Who
Star
quoted
Trek.
Phaedra from Real Housewives of Atlanta earlier?
That's right.
Go
I'm
ahead.
well-rounded.
Go on with your faux. thought.
I'm well-rounded.
Go ahead on
to
with that.
roam in any hood.
And if that's the case, so is your girl. Go ahead on with that.
Okay.
You better go ahead on quoting Phaedra, talking about levels of consciousness are on. You better.
Okay, Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Well, Obi was the Grand Master. Anyway.
Let's return to the Jedi then. But no, what I was going to say was one of the things that, I'm getting ready to look into here as part of my next project is a project called Man Enough, where I sit down and I go through what I think emotions and vulnerability are for men today because of where we are, because of what society has done, because of the strives and the accomplishments of the women that we love, the daughters that we're going to raise. Yes. I think we're going to have to be in a different place. Absolutely. Emotionally. We are not required to be the brutes that we were once required to be at a certain time in life. We're going to have to give that protection in a different way. That security is going to take on another form. And sometimes it's going to be emotions. And it's going to be ability to make her feel safe through your words. Oh. And a lot of men are not equipped to do that. And that's what I want to help guys is get to a place where we can make them feel safe with what we say, because what we say will matter. Because we will mean what we say, and our actions will also back up what was said to her. And those things will secure her in ways that money and alarm systems and guns will never be able to do.
I hope that you are able to convey to
I'm
guys.
going to do my best. What
You just said and I was just having this conversation with someone, the safety that can be created, the safe space that can be created by saying the words.
Absolutely.
Being open with the words and creating that safe space for us to coexist as a couple. There is nothing that is going to get a woman more on your side, more of a fan, more of a proponent, more of an advocate for you than doing just that.
Absolutely.
I mean, anytime that I am going hard for a dude is because he has created that safety for me.
Absolutely.
And that's not to suggest that I can't do it for myself, but we're talking about obviously.
No. When you're talking about being in partnership, people want to have equal footing at the table.
Yeah.
And one thing, she don't want to stand in your shadow, and he don't want to stand in her shadow, and neither should have to do it. There is a perfect blend that should happen when two people come together and say that they're going to love each other. Absolutely. And be open, honest, transparent, and emotionally fluid with each other. Yep. There is a blend that happens there that successfully allows the full form and structure of both of those beings to exist in their oneness. Yes. And that's what I want to help people to understand. So that was good. I like that.
was very good.
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
I
I'm a
like
fan. It was a little different from last week. Was a little, but this was more. I like how we are bringing it together. We're sort of solidifying, or drying things. Right?
Well, you have to
curing. That's the word I'm looking for.
Well,
curing.
So you have to create a foundation. So it fell apart, right? So accepting is all right. We accept that this is happened.
The 40 Lessons podcast is executive produced by Shining Starlet Entertainment. For production consults, go to www.shiningstarlet.com.
That's really what I was about to put for the 40 lesson moment. It was. I was like, it's done.
Yes.
And you just have to accept that. And that's what you have to do. And that's a hard thing for people, man. I was on an interview and somebody asked, I had wrote about a young lady in the book. And somebody said, well, why don't you try to get her back? I said, some things don't deserve a do-over. Sometimes you mess up opportunities. And your lesson is that missed opportunity. You have to just sometimes move on and learn from that behavior and try to create a better behavior on the next round. So, that's the 40 lesson moment today, is that when it's done, accept that it's done. Go through your emotional space that you need to get through.
Yep.
And then, next week we'll tell you what to do. We'll help you to understand closure and what it looks like to start over.
And we'll even discuss the ideas around closure not necessarily being a real thing.
Tori Strickland presents Weightless, now available on Amazon. Oh, Lord. Okay, so Tori gonna make closure imaginable next week. That's what she just said. I'm telling y'all, man, I pick extremely talented people. I don't care what nobody say to me. I have an eye for this thing. I knew when I looked at that Facebook thread that this was the person that I needed to have a little time with from time to time on this show to see what in the world is going on. And next week she already set the teaser. Closure is going to be imaginable, but we are going to start over. That's going to be real.
Without a doubt.
We're going to do that.
Without a doubt.
And I kind of even know why you say that closure is kind of imaginable.
So? Are you a mind reader?
Not that I'm a mind reader.
Sci-fi, so
Not that I'm a mind. Oh, Jesus. Not that I'm a mind reader, but our wavelengths sometimes kind of flow the same.
All right.
And I guess the reason I would say that, and we'll get more in depth into it, is because sometimes do you ever really get over it? Do you learn how to suppress it and just move on a little better? It gets a little easier as the days go on. So it could be a little bit of that makes it imaginable. Could be. But we gonna dig into the great mind of Tori on the next show and see what we come up with. Hey, man, remember, we're going to be out there on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, something. Whatever Leak decide to put us on, that's what we're going to be on. Definitely going to be on YouTube. You'll be able to see our pretty shining faces if you want to from week to week. Make sure whatever platform that you go to find the 40 Lesson Podcast, you subscribe, share it, tell a friend. Make sure you share, tell a friend. Email us at the 40 Lesson Podcast at gmail.com. If you got any questions or comments, is there something you want to ask us? We'll take a few moments in the show to address your questions or concerns. If you just want to tell me I was being petty, nothing I don't already know, but go ahead, send an email.
Tell them.
We'll acknowledge that. If a guy out there want to challenge Tori, please, by all means, knock yourself out, player. And I'm going to sit here and give her, step back and let her handle that answer when she gets sick. So I'm just saying.
You setting folk up.
You folk.
Listen, don't get set up out there.
I'm going to say, Lord, you got to show me. I'm an instigator,
And I'm from Detroit, so just know. Don't let him get you in trouble.
I'm just saying. Hey, go on, do it, dog. No, I'm just playing. I'm playing. Hey, man, but look, we appreciate everybody that tunes in every week to check us out, man. We here to help. I hope the stuff that we putting down is making you think about a few things in your life, giving you some direction, helping you to, kind of sum up some of them worries that you had in your mind, man. We here for you, man. Remember, you say it's yours.
Let's go get it.
Catch you next week.